Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into something I find absolutely fascinating, how incredibly diverse cultures all use storytelling to teach the exact same human values. Whether we're talking about love, diligence, or compassion, the way we pass down our moral code from generation to generation is just universally captivating. So let's jump right in.
Here's our quick roadmap for today. First, the magic of folktales. Second, the test of true love. Third, diligence versus laziness. Fourth, the karma of compassion. And finally, we'll wrap up with a universal moral compass.
All right, Section 1. The Magic of Folktales. How stories reveal our true nature.
So what is the actual engine driving these stories? Well, it's the character test. Notice how these tales always, and I mean always, test characters to reveal who they truly are. The environment might change, maybe it's a magical forest, a deep dark well, or just a rain-swept village. But the function is identical. A sudden hardship is just dropped right into the protagonist's lap. Why? To force their authentic moral character right up to the surface where everyone can see it.
Ultimately, regardless of where they come from, these stories use unexpected hardship as a kind of mirror for the human soul. They completely strip away the superficial, titles, wealth, appearances, exposing purely what lies beneath. Because let's be real, if you want to know who someone truly is, you take away their comfort.
Moving right along to Section 2. The test of true love. Authentic bonds versus artificial temptation.
Let's look at our first tale where this tension escalates so fast. We start innocently enough, right? A kid follows a frog, wanders off, gets lost, but look at the sheer desperation of the mother. She throws herself into a literal swamp, gets covered in mud, scrambles through a chicken coop and ends up covered in feathers. She is physically stripped of her normal, comforting appearance. And of course, an evil witch seizes the moment. She offers the poor kid candy and uses a magic spell to disguise herself to look exactly like the mother.
So, the forest fairies step in to settle the dispute, and they hit us with the ultimate puzzle. Which one is the real mother? I mean, how do you prove a bond of true love when outward appearances are perfectly identical?
Well, the fairies demand a test. Make a meal the child will love. The witch, relying totally on artificial temptation, uses magic to conjure up this giant, beautiful chocolate cake, completely designed to overwhelm the kid's senses. The real mother, she goes a totally different route. She prepares a humble, familiar rice dish. She's relying entirely on authentic, grounded care. Now at first, the kid goes completely nuts for the chocolate cake. I mean, what kid wouldn't? But actually, the distraction completely fails. The fairies realize that's not a fair test of love. It's only when the real mother bursts into tears and begs for one last hug that the witch's magic is broken. The child leans in, whispers "Mama," and recognizes his true mother simply by her familiar scent during that one emotional embrace. Authentic connection trumps artificial temptation every single time.
Section 3. Diligence versus laziness. Enter the tale of Mother Holly.
It is wild to see how two sisters handle the exact same magical trip down a well. Take Emily, for instance. She is inherently hardworking. When she encounters a rabbit stuck with a carrot, she helps. When she sees a dying rose, she waters it. And for doing her daily chores at Mother Holly's house, she's rewarded with a literal shower of gold. But then there's Emma. She's lazy, totally superficial. She flat out refuses to dirty her hands for the rabbit or the thorny rose. And when she walks through that same magical gate expecting a reward, boom, she gets a shower of mud. The universe in these tales acts like a boomerang. It directly reflects your inner effort right back at you.
But Emily isn't just a hard worker. She is incredibly clever. When Mother Holly's home is threatened by these 3 greedy hunters, Emily doesn't try to use physical force. She uses pure ingenuity. She creates a fake bear shadow in the window. She strings up a transparent rope to make vases and books literally fly off tables. She projects these spooky ghost noises claiming to be the soul of the house. And Mother Holly plays along perfectly, disguising herself as a terrifying witch. They completely outsmart the hunters using pure creativity.
After the hunters run for the hills, the house is left in total ruins. And here's where it all comes together. The muddy Emma actually learns her lesson. She drops the lazy attitude and helps Emily rebuild the ruined house. This leads to such a fantastic realization about solidarity. When women put aside selfishness and work together, even the biggest messes can be cleaned up.
Which brings us to Section 4. The karma of compassion. The story of Dashiru and Kajri.
Talk about a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day.
Just look at the sheer weight of Diru's escalating hardships. He's an orphan, relentlessly mocked by his village. Endless rain literally rots his hard-earned money, and when he forces himself to go to work sick with a fever, he accidentally drops a sack of grain into the water. Instead of showing an ounce of mercy, his employer, the cruel Takur, not only fires him, but demands a triple repayment from a man who literally has nothing. Diru is pushed to the absolute brink.
Yet smack in the middle of this heartbreaking poverty and social isolation, Diru and his wife Kadri spot two stranded strangers standing under a tree in a freezing storm. Despite having zero money and barely a roof over their own heads, they invite these strangers inside, cook them a warm meal, and treat them like family. It really makes you wonder, how do you even repay a kind stranger who gives you everything when they have nothing?
Well, the next morning, the truth comes out. The strangers reveal they aren't helpless travelers at all. They are Ramen and Junkie, incredibly wealthy merchants from the city. Ramen admits something super profound here. Despite their immense riches, they are relationally destitute. They hid their wealth because they just wanted to be treated with genuine, no-strings-attached human warmth, not greed. Diru's pure compassion passed the ultimate test.
And then, plot twist. Just as Ramen is offering Diru this lucrative job in the city to repay his kindness, Kadri brings Diru a new shirt. As he changes, Ramen spots a birthmark on Diru's neck. And you guessed it, it perfectly matches his own. The kind, penniless host who sheltered him from the storm is actually his long-lost brother. Diru's life changes in an instant, not just because of the wealth, but because he finally found the family he'd been longing for his entire life.
All right, let's bring it all home in Section 5, the Universal Moral Compass, uniting the themes. When we map all of this out, it is actually amazing how perfectly these totally different stories align. We've got completely different protagonists, a desperate mother, a clever young girl, an impoverished orphan. They face totally distinct trials, ranging from magical deception to cruel human greed. But the final outcome, the ultimate reward, is always profound. By staying true to their goodness, their diligence, and their empathy, they conquer their hardships. The structural skeleton of these stories is identical, because the human values they are designed to teach are identical. So the big takeaway from all these diverse sources brings us right back to that very first tale. Whether you're fighting an evil witch in a fairy kingdom or facing down a cruel landlord in a flooded village, empathy and love are portrayed as the ultimate, unbeatable forces in the human arsenal. So, to wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a provocative thought to ponder. We've seen how folk tales use extreme situations to just strip away the superficial. So, if your character was tested today by a sudden, unexpected hardship, maybe a magical well, or simply a stranger seeking shelter in a storm, what would your true nature reveal to the world? Thank you so much for joining me to explore the structured magic of these incredible stories. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.